Hey, out here floating the Okanagan River. We do that a couple times a year. Of course, when I do it in a canoe and I bring my pole. But I got the fam with me somewhere back there. Ethnic separation. I want to talk to you about personaware and how, you know, people are fatigued with their personal information being used against them. It's one thing to have them take it, but it's another thing to have it used against you. And or you know, advertising's not using it against you kind of to destroy your life. They're trying to help your life. Okay, let's put that into perspective. But at the same time, it's now susceptible to destroying your life, right? And it's available to anyone with a dollar. So, but beyond that, it means that when we're collecting information on people to use it in advertising, that we have to aggressively approach them with this assumption that we know what they want, and then of course we tie fear-based advertising to that, and before you know it, disruptiveness and all that comes with it ruins the experience you're trying to have. Just the fact that ads pop up. So we've got a couple things to consider here. One, the long-term consideration is, how do we use personaware to completely eliminate advertising? Well, that's a function of a friendship pod, and it's something we'll have to get into later. Let's consider how we can use personaware to help us identify, and I'm gonna have to paddle every now and then, I'm gonna run into a bridge. We don't want that. Let's consider how we could use personaware to identify our target audience ahead of time without having data. And I'm probably speaking to those who are, you know, in small business and don't necessarily have access to lots of large data. And that being the case, which is many, this becomes a very powerful tool. So personaware is the ability to digitize a persona, and we do that by determining the persona. And of course we can use ChatGPT to help us do this much more illustriously, quickly, and more robust as well. I'm going to take this track, but I wish I'd taken the other one. It's prettier. When we identify a persona and then digitize it, I'm not talking about digitally recording all the attributes of a personality. Now, that is part of it because we create a character profile called a kinetic avatar, but that is not the end-all be-all of it. The core of it is this ability to get at what color, what frequency represents and resonates with that particular theme. Now, when we do it with a human and a person, we ask them 3 questions, and those 3 questions are dialed. Hey, we're under the bridge. Woo! You can hear the echo. Yo lady, yo lady, yo lady, who? I don't know. Sir, yes, sir. All right, that's a nice echo. We ask these 3 questions because they're framed within the personaware framework of the 7 arenas of human experience. And those 3 questions get at the core of a person's personality, what they believe as their primary goal, what motivates them towards that goal, and what they end up desiring and producing as an emotional reaction to that goal. And when we ask these questions, we ask for them to be answered with a color. Now, we always ask for the text. We ask for the actual you know, explanation down the line, but to begin with, we just want the color. And then we take that color and we turn it to hex code. When we turn it into a hex code, we have now digitized the result of those answers. You could do this with anything. You could build any model and create questions that you want to ask in alignment with that model based on the outcome you're looking for, and have those questions be answered with a color, because color is how we perceive life and think and get answers to our questions. Everything is light and light energy, so all of these things work hand in hand. I don't want family catching up. I don't need anybody hearing me until they see me on tube. Oh, check it out. Something in the water. Let's hope it's not my iPhone after a while. Keep doing this. Get back in the flow of the river. Ooh, that's pretty. hung up on it though. Not much draw on this boat. This canoe. Alright, so we get a little more. We digitize using color, we digitize the model, and then we have digitized the persona of whatever we're after. Now in my case, I've created a persona profile for the human experience, and I apply it to everything because I found that by doing this, I get a human to object relationship embedded in the color code. But there's lots of different ways you could approach this. That being said, once we have that digitized persona, those three colors, we blend them, and that becomes our fundamental frequency. That fundamental frequency is a single color that guides us. Colors, of course, have boundless and endless and limitless possibilities, but when it comes to how this works, because we are limited to the hexadecimal code system to identify colors, then we are limited to whatever number of hexadecimal codes there are. And I think it's like, I don't remember, 64 million. It's something, you have to do all the math, 16 times 16 or 16 to the 16th power. Been a while since I've done it. But that's still plenty of color to give us what we need and help us to satisfy the process that we are appealing to. So once we have that fundamental frequency, we can now take a subject and we can look at any subject through the light. I gotta set you down. Through the light of that fundamental frequency. Not get it all wet. Because by doing that, we are able to keep the intent of that fundamental frequency as the framework or as the object of our particular we are able to keep that fundamental frequency as the primary target of what it is that we are working around. Keep that theme at an esoteric level in a digitized form. So now we take that. Oh my, I got somebody over here that I have to avoid. I didn't realize. Look like they might be taking a bath. Now we have to be able to. I'll be right back. So now that we are back on track, when we digitize the persona and get a fundamental frequency that guides us, we're able to build around that. It's like the nucleus, and it's like, you know, every raindrop is built around the nucleus of a piece of dust, and that's what it is. This is our dust, the fundamental frequency. And so now we have a persona wrapped up in a color that's in digital form. We can use it in a lot of different ways, and we can build around it. So of course we use it in the nucleus of a kinetic avatar. We build an entire profile, character profile, just like you would as a fiction author, around that fundamental frequency, and we build a GPT that allows us to maintain that character and maintain its persona anytime we want to engage it and interact with it, create scenes, etc. By creating these characters, we now have a customer profile as well. We could create a kinetic avatar in this way that could then be used in a dating site, and you could have a whole slew of PDFs that each one represents the kinetic avatar profile of an individual. And then pragmatically, you could start, you could basically put all of those fundamental frequencies, which are hex codes, into a database and start querying it and start using color theory to be able to create compatibility between team members, between people who are wanting to date each other, people who you need to bring together for short periods, long periods, extreme pressure, low pressure. There's a lot of different scenarios that you would utilize the color scheme. And you just use the color wheel, you create triadic formations, you create monochrome formations if it's appropriate. Sometimes you create completely opposing, complementary, they call it on the color wheel, combinations, and this is what allows you to create an initial subset of people that you might want to pair, whether it's in a dating scenario or as a team. And it works this way too with product, because you can take your product, assign a fundamental frequency to your product, and then capture the fundamental frequency of your list, if you will. And ChatGPT could do this if you have enough external data that is public on each person, and you basically systematically have to go through and build a profile on each one. But best way to do it would be to ask each of your customers one of those 3 questions and simply get them to submit their fundamental frequency to you. The beauty of that is there's a number of beauties to it. Number one, when they submit that fundamental frequency to you, it's completely arbitrary. I mean, sure, it gets tied to their profile, but that color could mean anything to any other person. It's the fact that they answered it in the approach that we take that aligns it with their persona, but it's still so ambiguous that nobody can use that specifically against you other than to create connection. Lots of cool dragonflies out here. Away it goes. And so when they create that connection, you know that connection has a viable starting point. And not only does it have a viable starting point, but you have a starting point that can be analyzed as data, but without, again, invading the individual's privacy or utilizing their personal information, buying habits, and all that garbage. You are simply allowing the colors to mingle together and produce an outcome that is desirable. So if the product had a fundamental frequency and you said, okay, I got this lime green and I want to bring together all the people that are lime green just because I want to pair them directly to it. Now that's not usually the right approach, but it's a good starting point. You could do that, and you could pair them with that lime green, and suddenly you'd have a subset of people that you know were aligned in this framework, and that their personas were aligned with the persona of the product itself. And now you could then say, well, I want to filter further, and utilizing whatever data you have on that persona. Now here's the beautiful thing. In a friendship pod, which is just basically a community, but there's one underlying rule in a friendship pod community that is not in a typical community online, and that is nobody talks to each other. There's no engagement. There is no commenting. There is no posting. Everything goes into the pod and then gets transmuted into good on the outside, and you take your reward by way of satisfaction of the overall good that comes out in the community, and then you materialize that through a community token on the blockchain, which gains value as more good is being done in the world through the input of this friendship pod, or the throughput of the friendship pod. And that's just a little insight. That's not all of it, but that's the essence of what makes a friendship pod work in Web 4, based on this idea of leveraging the ethereal, the unknown, the unseen. So now we have a product, and we have a community, and we know the fundamental frequencies of that community. So we go to a vendor and we ask the vendor, hey, we tell the vendor, take all your products, run them through this, give us all the fundamental frequencies, and now we're going to align that and match it with those in our community. And once we do that, the community grows to trust your ability to predict what it is that they want and need in their lives. And it may be things they don't even currently buy. They set up a subscription. They set up a monthly budget amount that they want to put towards the things that you're going to provide them, and you have to segregate that out so that you make sure you remain profitable, etc. And now you negotiate with the vendor to say, we're going to buy this many of these every month, every week, every day, whatever the case may be, one-time buys, etc., so that we can supply them to our customers. You don't need to pitch them. Our customers don't need to be interrupted. They don't need anything. And they're going to receive this product on their front doorstep, and they're going to integrate it into their life, because they understand that we have framed their vision for the future around this personaware, around this idea that we are able to track and map their fundamental frequency to the things that they need to accomplish the goals that they want. And so now you completely flip the paradigm on its head. Vendors are no longer pushing product at you or at your membership, but rather they are simply making it available and aligning it via personaware and giving you access to it so that you can query it. And we do all this on 4D Story. You can actually go there and we will engage with you and align you with Friendship Pod communities and put that together for you. But this suddenly becomes a connection between the manufacturer, the vendor, the producer, and the people that will utilize it. And in the beginning, it seems like it would be a bit of a, just like anything, a bit of a trek to convert to that side. But if you do this little by little and start to attract communities towards your product, because what's happening is communities are being formed and being organized around their fundamental frequency. The communities are growing organically, and they're just naturally becoming more and more attuned to your product. And through us, we can keep you in alignment with that attunement, and your product will naturally grow. And this becomes the new sales channel. It's no longer how much can I bombard the shelves at the retail stores with my GMO filled product that needs to be shelf stable for 10 years so that it'll move and I can, ultimately turn a profit, etc. This is just in time delivery, dialed into the persona and completely manifesting an anonymity that protects the consumer while serving them at the highest level. So consumers, once you get tired of having to submit yourself to both advertising and also data corruption and stealing of your data and maybe even manipulating it, then that's when you'll start seeking out personaware and ethereal intelligence and Web 4. And little by little, that's going to grow. And as it grows, the opportunities are endless for communities, for vendors, for those who create the friendship pods. I see that it actually will give new life and resurrect old paradigms of business, so that you don't have to change a lot to be able to get fresh revenue and fresh power out of what you're currently doing. And in the meantime, we're going to save the world. We're going to keep them from having to deal with. I like it when there's two dragonflies. Oh, there's a whole group of them here. They're representing personaware as they fly around together. But as we are able to, they're refueling. It's got his tail on the head. As people are able to move into this direction, they're going to be able to, they're going to feel the freedom. They're going to feel it in their soul. They're going to feel it in their spirit, because it lifts. Suddenly you got products coming to you that are making you a better person. They're aligning with the legend that you were born to be. They are supporting the efficacy of your dream, and they're connecting you with people that can support you, all with complete anonymity until you're ready to reveal yourself. And so if any of that interests you, follow me. I'll keep talking, and I'll show you. I've proven it. I've already done all this. This is not anything that I'm just yanking out of my yank. I am 100%. I've built websites, I've written white papers, and I put it into action at very low levels. What do I need to put it into action at higher levels? I need teams, teamwork, I need resources, people, funding, all those things. Will I put together a GoFundMe campaign, Indiegogo, something of that nature? Yes, probably very soon. And I'll wrap it all around the spices, because we want you to realize that spices represent the very fundamental foundation of how all this works. And it's a simple paradigm. Everybody can get involved, everybody can make money from it, everybody can share the love of spices and grow the desire, grow the appreciation, if you will, for good food. And by doing that, you're just lifting the spirit of everybody. You're bringing us closer to nature, closer to the things that we truly love and enjoy as people. And maybe we minimize the hate in the world and raise the level of love and collectively point to truth that guides and illuminates. All right, that's great stuff. That's all I got for today. We're gonna keep floating the river, and we're gonna keep talking. Catch us in the next video. Like and follow for more.